This is a 2004 Chevy Suburban. I didn't want to put the stereo in myself. I've never had great success with that, but I had someone install this stereo for me, Apple CarPlay, things like that, upgrade from my other stereo. But the USB comes out the back. They drilled a hole down here and fished it through here, and I didn't like the cord there, so I popped off this piece, which just snaps off, rerouted it through here, and it dangles down here, and I don't really like it dangling down there. So I bought a USB that I can mount in here so that I can get rid of this, and then I can not have to leave my cord laying there. So basically the simplest way to get this off is just grab and tug, and it'll come right out. And then these clip off to get rid of your plugs. The problem I have with the USB mount is I really wanted to mount it here, but with the obstructions behind here, I'm not really able to mount it there. Thought about putting it in the back where they drilled this hole back along here, but trying to get the cord in and out, it was going to be a permanent cord then anyway. I considered putting it in here, which I could get in and out, but I think I'm going to try to put it right in this location here, because I can't center it because there's some plastic here, plus this little bumper here will get in the way. So once I get that done, I'm gonna get back to it and put it in there, and hopefully it'll all work. I'll probably just leave this in here, because otherwise I'm gonna have to get and take the stereo out and get behind there and put the other cord in. Just going to be a simpler install for what I'm doing, unless this connection is bad, and I may just tape it so that it stays in place. But that's the way I'm going to handle getting this correct. So now that I have this out, I'm going to try to get in there and cut a hole so that the part will end up here in between these two plastic supports that are on either side of the piece. So I'm gonna try and fish it in there. I bought this piece on Amazon. This USB port was about $10 on Amazon. And what I found by measuring it is that metric worked a whole lot better for my cutout than English units. So it's about 2 centimeters by 1.2 centimeters is the hole I'm going to try and cut, and give me a good place to mount this on the other side. So I cut out a little template that, to say, is 2 centimeters by about 1.2 centimeters. Trying to figure out where to place this. Remember, there's a lip on the USB, so I've also got to account for that larger piece to make sure that everything fits. So I'm not going to be able to set that as close to the top as I had hoped. Maybe back there is a good choice. So I've taken a white pencil and kind of marked off in reverse the outside dimensions that I didn't take on this USB piece. So that's as far in either direction as I really want to go with this piece. It's not really centered on anything, but I tried to kind of make this halfway in between. It may not be perfectly centered, so I mean halfway in between here and here. So we're just going to try and see if we can get this to work and look halfway decent. So I took my template and with that same pencil kind of tried to mark where I wanted that to be, and let's see if I can cut this out and make this look somewhere half decent, I guess is the best way to say it. So I started by drilling a hole, and now what I'm going to do is try to use my Dremel tool as much as possible to keep this box looking how I want it to, not go outside the lines or make it too big. So now that I've used the Dremel to open up this hole, it's not as square as I would like, but what I'm hoping is that when I put this USB in there, that it'll cover up the irregularities and it'll fit tight. I'm going to clean up the grease pencil off of this and then fit this. If I have to file it a little bit, I'll file it a little bit around the edges, but right now the measurements show that this is good enough. So, all right, well, let's see if we can dry fit this. I'll get this off of there. See if this will, yes, it did go through there. Started making me worry there for a second that I had not counted enough for the size of the plug. Well, looks got a little bit more drilling to do. As any good carpenter will tell you, measure twice, cut once, but when you're measuring the wrong dimension, doesn't matter how many times you measure, you still get it wrong. So, had to open this up to 2.4 centimeters. I'm actually at 2.5 centimeters, and I think it's going to be a little bit big, may not snap in as nicely as I hoped, which means it may end up popping out when I pull my cord out, and I don't really like that, so I may end up having to put bead of silicone or something back there to hold it in place. But let's see if I can get this to pop in. And I'm gonna position that at the bottom just because I seem to, it's the way my cords go in most of the time. So as you can see, I have that in USB. Looks like a do-it-yourself project, but of course it is a do-it-yourself project. It doesn't look factory at all. I probably could have centered that better top to bottom here, but you know, there is a little gap there. But all in all, I'm pleased with what I've accomplished. And you know, how many people are going to be staring at my dashboard for any period of time? It's just a convenience factor for me. So all in all, I've been working on this project maybe 15 minutes. You know, as I say, unless this connection gives me an issue, I'm just going to leave this cord the way that they had it in there. But in order for me to fish, get that out of the way, for me to fish this back into that opening, I've got to peel back my dash a little bit. So this pops, you just got to find the right corner. This thing will pop out a little bit, and then I'm going to take this back into this opening and pull that cord out. So as you can see, when I got it from the professional, they had this cord in here, fished out, and it was just kind of all over the place here. So now I'm going to have this in a fixed place, a fixed location, and then I'll still have this opening for my phone or whatever I want to put down in there, sunglasses or whatever. So let's see, I'm just going to try and fit this in here without, seems like it's pretty solid. I don't think that's going to come apart. So even though it is a potential point of failure, I'm going to leave it in there that way. Just kind of lay this cord up in here out of the way. Got to make sure that I get my power connections back in there properly. line them up, pop them in. And then all in all I have to do is push this back in until it snaps. And my USB connection should be good. So I'm pleased with this. Guess I'm gonna have to see if it actually works. But I like the way this is. I really wanted to mount it here, but as I say, there's obstructions back here on this side. Down here didn't work either, so this was the best place to put this, and I'll still have room to stick sunglasses and other things up in there. It won't be obstructed by that cord that was dangling. So kind of pleased with that. Just so that I know for sure that this is going to work the way I hoped it would, I guess the best way to do it is try it out. Turn the air conditioner off so that it doesn't make a bunch of noise. See if my Apple CarPlay will connect. Yep, error message. Imagine that. Not so good. Oh, Apple CarPlay works. I may have to go in there eventually and take out that connection and redo it. That was not the way I'd like to see that work, but you know, of course it may not be perfect, but it's aftermarket, so it's the way it goes sometimes. Waze app works. Looks like my iHeart radio is going to work. Can't ask for much more. I may eventually take this and shut off the music. I may eventually take this, change out that connection, actually run it to the back of the radio, but that's probably another 15 minutes. This whole project took me 30 minutes at the most, and that was some goofing off in between. But to get this, you know, done, you have to pop this dash off again. There's a couple bolts right here that you have to take and pull the radio off to get to the back side. May even have to take the air conditioner module out, so it's a little bit more involved, so I'm not going to do that today. If I do ever decide to do it, I'll probably make another video with that, but for right now, it is installed and working.